Hello beautiful people, today I have for you a sequence for runners to use on your post run. So come sit down on the mats, spine nice and tall, shoulders on the back, slight tuck in the chin and placing the hands on the knees or together in the lap and closing the eyes. And we'll begin by bringing our awareness inwards to our breath. We're just taking a quick moment to tune in with ourselves as if we have just got back from a run. We don't want to cool down too quickly. We want to stretch whilst the muscles are still nice and supple after that run. So just tuning in with our breath, observing the natural rhythm, bringing yourself and your awareness into the present moment. Just checking in with yourself. How does the breath feel in the body today? And how do you feel today emotionally or physically? Maybe you're in a good mood today, or maybe not so much. Maybe you feel quite tight and stiff in the body. Or maybe you feel quite flexible today. However you may feel today, we're just going to accept ourselves in this present moment. This is how we are, and that's okay. We can work towards making ourselves feeling better. So we can then bring the hands together in prayer in front of the chest and bow the head down, gently opening the eyes and lifting the head. And then we're going to begin by taking ourselves into our tabletop position. So we have the shoulders in line with the wrists and the hips in line with the knees. We want to press the mat away from us, spread those fingers wide, press the tops of the feet into the mat and pull the belly and ribs in, and we'll move through some cat-cows. So inhaling from the sacrum, draw the belly down and lift the chest and chin. Exhaling, rounding the spine, bringing the chin to the chest. Inhaling, draw the belly down, lift the chest and chin. Exhaling, rounding the spine, pressing the mat away from you. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, round. Inhaling, lifting the chest and chin. Exhaling, rounding the spine. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, round. You can go at your own pace here. You can make these movements nice and slow. Exhaling, rounding. Inhaling. We'll come back to our neutral position. We'll then tuck the toes underneath, take the hips back and up into our first downward facing dog. And we can take a moment here to paddle the feet, take your dog for a walk and stretch out those legs. We can have a generous bend in those knees as well, so we've got a nice flat back. And make sure we've got a little micro bend in those elbows, we're not locking in the joints. Reaching the heels down to the mat, lengthening through the backs of the legs. And then looking between the hands, we're going to inhale, walk the feet towards the hands, bending the knees and coming up onto the fingertips and folding it forwards, belly to thighs. We're going to inhale, slowly roll up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Head comes up last, coming all the way up to standing. So we'll come to stand at the top of our mat. And we're going to begin on the left side. So we're going to inhale, lift the left leg up and exhale, step it back about one leg distance so that we come into our high lunge position. So we can sink the hips down so we have a nice 90-degree bend in that front leg. And lengthening through the back leg by reaching the heel back. And you can have the hands on the hips or together in prayer. We're just opening the left side of the hip, stretching the quads, and maybe even the calves a little bit. And then we can exhale, Gently bring that knee down onto the mat and untuck the toes so we come into our low lunge, and you can rest the hands on the tops of the thigh. And just breathing here. You can always place a little pillow under the back knee for some support if we experience any pain and discomfort. Then we're going to place the hands down on the mat, and inhale, we're going to bring the hips back and lengthen through the front leg, coming up onto the heel and flexing the foot so that the point that the toes are pointing towards the face. We can grab some blocks as well to help elevate the chest and create a nice flat back, so we deepen the stretch in the back of the leg. Keeping the shoulders pulling down on the back, away from the ears, and then exhaling, we'll sink back into the hips, coming into our low lunge position. We're going to bring the right arm to the inside of that leg, coming into our lizard pose. Maybe we stay here, we can take it a step further. We can always grab hold of a block, and we can bring the forearms to rest down on top of the block. This will greatly deepen the stretch on the inner thigh there on the right side. Or we can pop that block aside and come fully down onto our elbows. Again, still reaching the chest forwards, pulling the chest through, and shoulders are pulling on the back away from the ears. Staying present with our breath. And then we can bring ourselves back up onto our hands, or tuck the back toes under and step it back into our downward facing dog. And we'll take a moment to stretch it out. So paddle the feet, move the body whichever way feels good for you here. Then inhaling, look between the hands. We'll walk the feet again towards the hands, belly to thighs, and then inhaling, slowly rolling up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming back up to our standing position and coming to the top of our mats. I'm just going to swap sides so you can see on the opposite side. So moving on to the right side, we'll inhale, lift the right leg up, and exhale, step it back one leg distance, coming into our high lunge. So again, checking we've got that nice 90-degree bend in the front leg. We're lengthening through the back leg by reaching that heel down towards the mat. Pulling the belly and ribs in, maybe you're feeling the quads burning, feeling a nice deep stretch. And you can have the hands in prayer or on the hips. And then exhaling, we're going to gently bring that back knee down to the mat and untuck the toes. And we can bring the hands to rest on top of the thigh. Or you can keep the hands in prayer. Again, whatever resonates the most with you. Sorry, just covering up my little sock basket there. Breathing into the hip space, opening up the hips. And then we can place the hands down on the mat, and we're going to take the pelvis back, lengthening through that leg, the front leg, coming up onto the heel and flexing the toes up. Making sure we've got that hip in line with the knee, so maybe we need to shimmy it backwards or forwards a little, so we've got that nice alignment. And again, if you want to use, you can grab hold of your blocks to help elevate the chest and create a nice flat back and deepen the stretch in the hamstring and calves. Staying present with our breath. We can then place the hands back down on the mat and bring the left hand to the inside, coming into our lizard pose. And we can either be up on the hands, or we can grab our block to come down onto the forearms. Or we can pop that block aside, coming into our lizard pose on the forearms on the mat. Breathing into the hip space. Quite a deep stretch in the hips here. And then inhaling, we can gently come back up onto the hands, framing the feet, tucking the back toe under and stepping it back to our downward facing dog. And again, we'll take a moment to stretch out the legs, take our dog for a walk. Remembering to allow a little micro bend in the elbows. And we can have a very generous bend in the knees to create our nice flat back and deepen the stretch in the spine. And then inhaling, we're going to bring the knees down onto the mat so that we're in our all fours and take it back to sit up on the heels. We can then shift the hips to one side and bring the legs round in front of us. And then inhaling, we're going to bend from the knees, bring the soles of the feet together, drawing the heels in towards the pelvis as close as we can. Coming into our bound angle pose or butterfly pose. And we want to hold onto the feet with the hands here. And if we experience any hip and knee discomfort in this pose, we can grab hold of our blocks to just place underneath the knees for some support. And then holding on to the feet, we're going to exhale, fold it forwards, reaching the chest and chin forwards. We've got a nice flat back. We don't want to be rounding. Reaching the chest and chin forwards, opening the heart. And smile, enjoy these poses, enjoy the stretches. And you can use your exhales to gently pull yourself deeper into this stretch. So opening up the inner thighs. Breathing. And then inhale, we'll come all the way back up to center. We can pop our blocks aside. And then we can help bring the knees together. And then we're going to lengthen the legs back out in front of us, flexing the feet up. We'll inhale, raise the arms up into our L position, and exhale, folding it forwards, using the peace fingers to grab hold of the toes. If you can't quite reach the feet, you can grab a strap to just hook around the feet and hold on to that way, so we have our nice flat back. And you can use that to pull yourself forward and deepen the pose, still keeping the chest and chin nice and open. If we don't have a strap, we can again use the fingers to grab onto the toes. We can grab onto the sides of the feet, or even grabbing onto the shins. Finding what works best for us in this pose. Keeping our chest and chin nice and open, and a little micro bend in the knees. We're not locking in those knees. Breathing. Inhale, exhale, gently release. And then we can just find our way back into our lotus pose, easy pose. Spine nice and tall, shoulders on the back, slight tuck in the chin. Placing the hands on the knees or together in the lap. And closing our eyes for a short closing relaxation meditation. And again, just bringing our awareness back to our breath. Notice any subtle changes you may feel in the body and in the breath. And we'll take a nice deep breath in and exhale through the mouth. Exhaling all thoughts away, completely emptying the mind. Leaving nothing but our awareness with our breath. Taking a couple moments of silence here. Listening to the sounds of our breath. Or maybe listening to the surrounding sounds, life passing by, or nature we hear flying by the windows. Keeping our awareness with our breath. One more breath here. You can gently start to deepen your breathing just to wake yourself back up, and we can bring the hands together in prayer in front of the chest, bowing the head down and gently batting the eyelids open and lifting the head when you're ready. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me again, guys. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.